Hey educator, can you imagine a classroom where every moment is savored and not rushed? In today's fast-paced world, we often feel reassured to produce knowledge quickly, to tick the boxes. Slow pedagogy focuses on depth instead of speed, intentional teaching, reflection, and true understanding and making sense. It's about connecting and it's about building lasting knowledge, building relationships, and cultivating the space where children and educators can be. Welcome, Slow Pedagogy, the new approach that you can like and embrace.
Slow Pedagogy by Payne and Wacho. I recently discovered this approach and I am looking forward to share it with you, my dear subscribers, and anyone who watches it and would like to improve the way you interact with children, the way you teach, and the way they learn. I would like to start with this song that I really like. It's from the movie that you probably know. I don't want to miss a thing, right? So it's the movie that is called Armageddon, and it's a pretty strong song about connection. And I think when children like my niece now, she's 7, almost 8, the time is very different. And this is when we as educators can learn from children. And when we relax and be more mindful, we actually can improve our own teaching and pedagogies and teaching strategies. We also can feel much better for it. So, what is slow pedagogy? Slow pedagogy is something that emphasizes taking the time to deeply engage with educational experiences. It was first introduced by Payne and Wacho, and that's where I've learned about it. I've read their article and I was absolutely hooked. I already heard of it before from Epstein reading Unhurried Child, but this really helped me to understand as well that this is scientifically based approach. It fosters love for learning. It focuses on the process rather than product or outcomes. The concept of slow pedagogy was introduced because we live in a fast-paced world, and we also are quite activity focused. So I was this teacher who would nervously look for some activities to do with children. I was new teacher, so I was a bit anxious, and the anxiety actually was driving me a little bit mad in finding the ways to entertain children, to make my teaching interesting, engaging. And only with experience and watching many classrooms, visiting a lot of centers, observing other teachers, and becoming actually old changed my approach. So Payne and Wacho, 2009, argue that outdoor education often neglects the experiential quality of place and time, emphasizing the need for pedagogical approach that integrates these elements. So they encourage us to really relax into time and understand how it flows in nature. We also can understand the value of country and place, and that's part of the EYLF that you may actually learn a little bit more as you travel along the path of educator. But for me, slow pedagogy is reflected in this picture of the child blowing dandelions. I have this vivid memory of me blowing dandelions as a child. And I also remember that my son, when he was 5, found the biggest dandelion ever. And I still have a picture of him standing there with this big dandelion about to blow, right? So, and the seeds will start flowing and is floating in the air. It's like bubbles, yes, or little parachute seeds. Is really a beautiful metaphor for slow pedagogy. Slow pedagogy is not new, of course. As you can see here, I have chosen the picture of koala because koala is a slow animal. Gerald Darrell, one of my favorite zoologists, also called them quite dumb. We are not in a position to decide whether these animals are intelligent or not, but they definitely are not very fast unless they cross the road. They are a little bit faster, they climb the tree a little bit faster, but generally they are quite slow. And there were many theorists or thinkers, philosophers that appreciated intrinsic value of observation, of reflection, of quiet, peaceful thinking. So these are predispositions for slow pedagogy. And when we engage into something like gardening, walking, even work out slowly and thoughtfully, we are more likely to achieve the goal and deeper satisfaction. Another approach that celebrates slow pedagogy is Steiner or Waldorf approach. You probably have seen some of my videos on Steiner pedagogy. I was lucky to visit a school in Melbourne and also in Moscow, a kindergarten that is working on principles of Steiner approach. Steiner approach develops children imaginatively or through senses, through open play, through gardening and routinal rhythmical or rhythms activities that also help them to slow down, appreciate the moment, appreciate the seasons, appreciate slow things like cooking, making dough and waiting for it to rise. Another researcher, his name is David Elkin, he highlighted the detrimental effects of hurried childhood, and the whole book of this scientist is about slow, unstructured play. I'll definitely will make a video on David Elkin, but so far we know it's not a brand new approach. Of course, it is already existing, and we can learn from those scientists and theories. So traditional outdoor education often emphasizes adventure and challenge and physical activities. I used to do a lot of treasure hunts with children, running races, when I, let's say, would take them outside, which is fine because they need to move physically. But slow pedagogy is a little bit different. It proposes the shift to focus from activities or pre-planned activities to experiential engagement or even encounter with place, time, nature, which fosters deeper connection with nature. So I'll give you an example. When children pass by the flowers, I noticed a lot of them just pick it and throw it on the ground. So this is lack of awareness. This is a living creature. And by picking it up, you, let's say, take some flowers off the bees, and you also break the flower. So instead, slow pedagogy would also foster connection of the child with this particular plant or bird, and this would encourage more ethical practice. Yes, so more awareness leads to more respectful relationships and deeper connection. So what we have to do as early childhood teachers and educators is a mental shift. Modern education is often fast-paced, goal-oriented, ticking boxes, assessment-driven. For example, I have been to a wonderful center that works as radio-inspired center, and the resources were fantastic. But at times, the rooms felt busy. Even the baby's room, where usually it is quite wonderful and quiet if the routines are established, apart from them crying. But I noticed that in pre-kinder room there was no dwelling in the space. Although it was raining, the educators looked flustered, children were hyperactive. While this would be such a wonderful opportunity to enjoy the rainy afternoon by building forts and magical tents indoors, and have, let's say, special lamps out and lights. Maybe light a candle, tell stories, hide under the blanket, and all sit together and enjoy maybe a hot chocolate or something like that. So some things that you would do with your children, if you remember your childhood, you used to do on a rainy day. So why this is lost nowadays? What happened to us? I think because we are outcome driven, we have to perform, and educators need to show that they are working. So these kind of simple things that are wonderful ways to teach children and to connect with them are not coming to our mind as teachers. We do a lot of Pinterest based activities or experiences that promote STEM science, but we overlook the beauty and aesthetics of the feather, yeah, or of the rain, or windy day, how it shows us movement and all the other things. So Payne and Wacho 2009 argue that for this shift to happen towards more slower reflective practice, we need to allow ourselves to connect with this space, right? So, and with environment. So for example, watching water can really help us to relax. And if we also go outside and just sit and look up the sky and watch the clouds, this will encourage you to go into this space of slow. I used to do it with my group of preschoolers. We would take clipboards and would go outside with clipboards, texts, pencils, maybe some paints. We will lie down on the mats and look up in the sky, and we watch the clouds, and then we draw or paint them or talk about it. If child doesn't feel like drawing, I wouldn't make them. Sometimes we would also look at the birds, and that would be watching the birds activity, or insects as well. We will just watch something very carefully. If we are lucky to go out and it's not too sunny, we would also sit under the tree and draw this tree, look into details of the tree branches, seed pods and leaves, and through a representational drawing and just this connection as a small group, we would have a restful time. So I didn't need to put them to sleep or do meditation, because drawing like this and talking and looking at nature would be meditation by itself. So these authors, Payne and Wacho, describe a semester-long undergraduate course that was aimed to foster the sense of place through slow educational practices. And activities included memory work, where students reflect on past experiences in nature, such as gnome tracking, and imaginative place-based activity designed to engage them with environment in a playful and embodied manner. Embodied means that they walk, they touch, they're exposed to all the nature sounds and all the nature events. So think about your own childhood, close your eyes, and just remember all these experiences, that they were slow and beautiful, and you felt relaxed and at peace. For me, I can recall a lot of moments like this. My childhood was very quiet in a way, and also busy, but I definitely had those moments when I would, let's say, sit and watch the sea waves crashing to the shore, or I would snorkel and just see the movement of the bottom sand, or I would do mushroom picking, where I would do mushroom hunting, which is slow walk when you are paying attention and trying to find mushrooms. It's really putting you in this space where you feel a flow, yes, space of flow, as Csikszentmihalyi would call it. And this sense of flow stayed with me forever. And even now, when I am an adult, in moments of anxiety, I remember that this always helps me to slow down, and I do something that is reflective, imaginative, and paced. Some principles of slow pedagogy that you might use as an early childhood teacher and a student today. Number one is depth of understanding. So slow pedagogy encourages children and educators to delve deeper into play and learning. So what we are talking about, and that's what Elkind was talking about, is unstructured play sessions. Unstructured nature moments when you don't have any agenda. You and children are just exploring, discovering, and enjoying the moment. So you might sit down, lie down, you might walk slowly and listen, absorb, see, notice without even talking. So it shouldn't be verbal. The second principle is reflection or reflective learning. It promotes reflective practices, allowing children to consider their learning processes. I really like Claire Warden Forest school approach. If you want to learn more, I will leave the link in description as well. But they take children outside and they have a lot of conversations about what they've seen. So first they use these experiences that are firsthand. They look at the birds, they look at the trees, sand, they explore things, and then they gather together and they reflect on what happened through drawing, discussions, thinking trees, thinking boxes, flow books, and other ways. Next principle is personal connection. That's about your personal connection with the material. For example, if children liked flowers, leaves, shells, they describe it, they discuss it, they kind of manipulate these materials as well, and they bring the inner meta out, if it makes sense. So what's that connection is about? Is it why have you been attracted to this material? The next principle is sustainability. It focuses on long-term understanding rather than short-term memorization. So if you found a shell, you're not introducing the scientific name straight away. You are paying attention to why a child likes it, right? So what was the connection? And then slowly building on that through getting to know the shell. There are a few benefits of slow pedagogies and slow pedagogy. Number one is that it's, of course, focusing on creativity because children have freedom to explore unstructured play, time in nature. They develop their creativity through experimenting, through exploring natural materials and resources. Their problem-solving skills are improving because they have time to think. A lot of children feel rushed and they do not have time to encounter solving problems at their own pace. The next one is emotional social development. It develops patience and resilience and social skills because playing in nature in a slow way, when you're reflective, when you're not rushed, actually is amazing for developing empathy to living beings and to other children and other people. Finally, the benefit of deeper learning. You know, like Vygotsky, my favorite theorist, talked about zone of proximal development. He also talked about higher order functions. So we have like lower order functions in the brain and we have higher order functions. And let's say self-regulation requires development of higher order functions. So problem solving is one of these functions that we need to develop over time. And play is the best way to develop it. Also, persistence or ability to pause and wait, patience, also are part of this play development. And in this case, children develop higher order functions through slow pedagogies as well. Now, practical examples of slow play in EYLF context. You know how much I love early years learning framework and how much I like to link it to the EYLF. So number one, of course, would be nature play. Why nature play is great? It's the discussion for another time. But when children explore natural environments at their own pace, not because you told them to do treasure hunt or bug hunt or whatever activity you ask them to do. They discover what interests them. They discover their own connections, and they have direct interaction with children. I've seen a lot of children interacting in the nature and with nature and as nature, and the way they connect is very different. So, for example, my niece yesterday was talking to me about the garden that she created. And in this garden, she put sticks in the ground and she kind of planted seeds. Not for real, it's a pretend play. But it was amazing that this is how she connects to nature through gardening and imaginative play. Other children might be more interested in looking for things. Others will just explore it through senses, and some will just lie down and enjoy, right? The wind, the sun, all the elements. The other example of slow pedagogy play incorporated into EYLF or with links to EYLF is process art. Children will use various materials to create art with no specific end goal, encouraging creativity and self-expression. The thing is that you can do it inside on a rainy day, not just outside. Next one, storytelling and dramatic play. They can incorporate not just EYLF, but slow pedagogy as well. Whenever I was doing storytelling session, I would light a candle, even not a real one now if you follow like fire safety procedures, but the one that is electric LED, and then this light is burning through the storytelling session, and at the end we can pretend to blow it out. In real Montessori classrooms and Steiner classrooms, they use real candles. Teachers responsible, obviously, you don't give it to children to play, but they do have a turn, and that's what I used to do as well. So storytelling is wonderful, and it's of course part of Steiner pedagogy. It helps them to develop language skills, social understanding through imaginative play. Next one is sensory play. We already do a lot of sensory play, sand, water play, exploring different textures. What I encourage my students, early childhood educators, pre-service teachers to do is to use more natural resources rather than the ones that you buy. You can use, of course, things that you have around this center, why not? But you also underestimate how much is available outside already. So using what you've got with this focus on senses, providing children with interesting water play through setting up just water table almost every day. That's what I do when I'm working in early childhood education, offering different states of water such as steam, not hot of course, but steam, ice and water, cold water, warm water, hot, not too hot though, but warm water. And they can also explore the different colors of water. Opportunities are endless. Same with sand. You can have white sand, dark sand, red sand, black sand, mixing sand with clay, soil, etc. Slow practices to start considering as well. Consider reflection, sensory engagement, the use of local and seasonal elements to create meaningful place-based educational experiences. Here you can see the child is looking intently at the snail, and without grabbing the snail, they are involved in sensory engagement or encountering snail as an other than human. Children also can keep journals, write poetry with educator, engage in artistic expressions such as dancing or moving like a snail as part of their learning process. You can also dwell in or listen and learn from nature as teacher. I sit and observe quietly the water stream, fire crackling. Oh my God, that's my favorite thing to do. Birds flying. All these experiences can bring joy and improve your delivery and make it much, much easier for you. Slow play and EYLF again. So some principles: secure, respectful, reciprocal relationships. we talk about social bonds between children and educators, between educators, parents, and children if they are part of the program, through meaningful, unhurried interactions. Children feel valued and understood, which builds trust and respect. Also, focusing on relationships and supporting children's well-being and learning is very important part of EYLF in general, and play-based learning with intentionality is also part of slow play. Next one is high expectations, equity, and inclusion. This principle is amazing for slow play because children can participate at their own pace, and diverse needs, abilities are more than welcome. So we also can provide a lot of opportunities for children when we are slow, right? So those children who need a little bit more time, they will get it. Finally, ongoing learning, reflective practice, and professional development, another wonderful practice of the EYLF, can be supported through slow pedagogy because you can actually pay attention to real interests of children and see real learning because you are observing them and because you are also acting slowly. Slow play in EYLF in outcomes. So outcome number 1 talks about children have a strong sense of identity. So this allows children to explore their interests and strengths, fostering sense of self-awareness and confidence. EYLF talks about strong sense of identity through engaging in meaningful experiences. What can be more meaningful than making up a fire together as part of Bushkinder program and sitting down, watching it, singing songs, or just looking at fire, storytelling, and using marshmallows on the sticks to fry. Outcome 2 talks about children are connected with and contribute to their world. Slow pedagogy and slow play encourage children to promote this connection and connect with nature. It also helps to understand our place in the world and develop respect for nature and become more sustainable because of this respect. Outcome 3 talks about strong sense of well-being, and it's a lot of research available on how children are now anxious and have a lot of mental state conditions that need cure or support. And of course, nature and slow play offer this emotional regulation, relaxation, and well-being through unhurried and enjoyable activities, through deep connections, including social connections. So, to summarize, Payne and Wacho say that slow pedagogy of place fosters embodied, which is through the body, sensory perceptual when you actually take things in, and conceptual theoretical, which means that you understand the meaning of place. So, children connect to the country they are on, connect to the place they are on through this slow pedagogy. So, if you want to read more, check this resource by Payne and Wacho, Slow Pedagogy, Placing Education and Post-Traditional Outdoor Education. It's quite new, so this will tick boxes for your professional development, this half-an-hour session. And I hope you enjoyed this session. I picked pictures that are all based on my experiences with children or me watching other children grow, like my nieces and children that I visit during my early childhood shifts. As you can see, they have innate state of connection, yes, so with nature and natural phenomena. A slow pedagogy will really help you to support it and also will relax you as a teacher. It shifts us from fast-paced, test-driven education, outcome-driven, to the values, depth, connection, and our own sanity and well-being. Isn't that what we all want? So if you like this video, don't forget to check the links in the description below. I have some links to my resources on PayHip store, to my Facebook community where we can keep discussing this. But if you have any thoughts on slow pedagogy, or if you know something that I did mention, please post in the comments below. Let's discuss. Does it fit into your philosophy? I am looking forward to your responses. Bye for now.